There's no soil here. It's all coral.
Yeah, there's no rocks.
Yeah.
Well, it's beyond just
coral, right?
But it's coral sand,
so
limestone
when you guys are walking
it's
today,
limestone.
you had all these clamshells. You had basically 2 millennia of dead sea creatures that are about like this big.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually kind of staggering when you look at that. And it's basically it's biomass.
Atolls in the Caribbean.
It's biomass.
But it's basically all limestone, so there's no other nutrients for the soil.
It's limestone because it's all shell.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing here, this is the product of like 2 millennia of really small, tiny marine animals that have died on a reef and have continued to build themselves up.
Correct.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We decided we wanted to go offshore and particularly target these big milkfish that are out there that supposedly eat algae and can be caught on flies that look like algae. Roger had tied some that we were told were too big. A friend of that we met here had gotten one that day and gave me one fly that he had caught a milkfish on. We didn't have anything else, but we had these little minnow flies that we used in Los Roques that, if you're colorblind, were the same color. So we used those too and tied them as droppers. We did go out and find these schools of milkfish kind of going around on the surface, eating algae, and tossed flies in it for a while and couldn't get them to take. And then we went over by a large seiner that was anchored out, and the guides actually threw rice into the water that got these milkfish to come out from under the boat. And you could see them schooling around, and we could flip the flies at them, and they would take these tiny little bonefish flies and eat them. And we hooked up 4 times. Roger and I each landed one. Paul had one on for a good 40 minutes before it pulled the hook. They were incredibly strong fish, so that was pretty exciting. And that's supposed to be a bucket list fish. They're pretty hard to get to take a fly, so the fact that we hooked up like that was pretty unique. That was fun.
Waiting outside the channel for the bait to come through, and so that's where I was fly casting to, and they just attacked the fly.
Like one of them, I literally caught with a land cast.
It left, and I'm casting, catching bonefish, and suddenly the entire population of, I'm talking hundreds of fish, jump out of the water and explode in a millisecond. It was amazing, and the guide said that's because the giant Trevally showed up. And they all then pulled to a corner of the quivering into the corner. Which is
probably a bad strategy.
I don't know what it was, but that's what they did. That's what they did. It was really cool to see.
Yes, we used to say in the Navy, you only have to swim faster than your buddy.
That is a good point. Yep.
Yeah, that was very cool to see. It was like a bluefish blitz, but within an instant, the entire place erupted. It was cool. Those birds were awful. I was like, I couldn't cast. I whacked several of them with my cast as I was throwing, hit them because they were hovering overhead, and they were going after my lure. I ended up like bringing the lure in. There were feathers on.
I was trying to figure out, because it was, at first you said, well, they just never see people. They're not afraid of fish.
They think it's a fish, I think. I mean, unless someone was throwing bait.
Yeah, but they were watching us throw it. And they were, I caught one, I was casting the 12 weight, and I was like, boom, and threw it in the air, and they were grabbing it out of the air.
They were grabbing it, and the line was landing over them, knocking them into the water. It was just...
No, but it's like, they do not, when we're not around, see a fish flying around 10 feet above the water. It's like, that's not a thing that they see. So
we went on the pancake. We cased over the fish on the flat, on the grass, on the flat, and the fish moved. I take my rod and show me how to catch the fish. He couldn't.
Yeah.
So they are bigger size there. So bigger size fish. That's because they are spooky. Yeah. And they want to survive.
And they're eating minnows. They're eating all this protein.
And they live. That's why they grow up. That's why they grow up, because they eat proteins.
Yeah.
There's a lot of more fish. So I saw also huge tarpon.
Yeah,
huge tarpon. But they don't bite.
Yeah. No. Well, we would, at the place where we would have the drinks at the end of the day, there was so much bait, and you would sit, and the beach was right where the wall is, and the tarpon and the big bonefish would chase the bait up on the beach. They would almost come out of the water and then down. So there was constant exposure. But
The target
What is the attraction for you to keep coming back to this place?
The attraction is Isalnd.
well, we want to hear it. We were asked to ride in the truck again today to be able to go down to a place called the Milkfish Pond, which we hear is a place that there are huge giant trevally. So despite the fact that our butts were going to be black and blue for a second day in a row, we said yes. The giant trevally that are supposed to live outside a dam, and it's a dam for an old fish farm where they farm milkfish, for the first time really didn't show up. So we had to do a lot more work and hiking to get fish. But we were in the backcountry with a lot of these great kind of shallow, very protected ponds that had limited access out to the lagoon. Caught bonefish in the morning, mostly schools of smaller fish. And then sort of hiking along the shore on this pond, there were giant trevally, smaller, about 10 pounds or so, that would come up into 6, 8 inches of water. And there were fish nesting in the shallow water. There were milkfish, and there was a fish that was described to me as a sledgia or what we thought might be like a tilapia. But these giant trevally would come in and just go barnstorming through these nests and go berserk, and so you could throw flies almost on shore and strip them very fast, and these would just voraciously hit them. So the truck ride was, I mean, it was great to actually see the island and kind of get a sense of the topography, and trying to get a sense, because you look on the map and they talk about villages that are sort of, you know, trying to figure out the economy and how people live in the whole, I guess it would be the southern part of the island is empty. I mean, there's nobody that lives there. It's all basically limestone left over from coral reefs, and these roads that sort of zigzag all around that we clearly learned that even people who have lived here all their lives actually don't know where the roads go.
So the worst part is the subjects that I have to film. I mean,
It's going to deprecate us.
I have really good skills in post processing, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to fix it. I'm really not sure.
I know you are pretty ugly.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that's what it is.
It is.
So
You can also, the other thing
So
you talk about,
let me interview him here a little bit.
Okay.
So what we'd like you to describe are the flavor sensations of the dinner the first night on Hawaii.
right.
So I would really like to describe what dinner was like the first night, but I really don't remember. I really don't remember. You know, I was so tired from my flight and being up for like 2 days straight and doing
Sheer
all the
exhaustion.
surgeries that I just simply was so tired. And after going to church, I went and had to go to bed early.
Right, exactly. Right.
Exactly how it happened.
His church happens to be in a bar.
No, I went to mass.
Uh-huh.
I said my rosary and
Rice. But the other thing is we'd like to just get a little bit of insight as to kind of how special you feel that as just a neurosurgeon that you are allowed year after year to hang out with cool kids.
So, as a neurosurgeon, yes, I am special, and simply, well, you
Small bus.
you are not.